welcome to Real Shame, a show where we talk about our list of movie blind spots movies that we should have gotten around to watch, but we hadn't gotten around to watch, but now we've gotten around to watch, and we're talking to them. We're talking to you about them. We're not talking to them. Sometimes we talk to them.
Are they sending it?
If they're really bad, we might yell at the screen. Yell at the screen a little bit. My name's Andy.
And I'm Adam.
And on Monday's episode, we talked about a movie that was written and directed by Nicholas Meyer, correct?
Yes.
So Adam decided to pair that with another Nicholas Meyer-ish film, whatever you want to call it. So what is that film that we're going to talk about?
All right. Sherlock Holmes discovers his last case while working with Sigmund Freud to overcome his cocaine addiction in the 7% solution. Apparently 7% solution is 7% cocaine, 93% saline. Although I don't think they say it in the movie.
They do.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they do.
I guess that went over my head.
Yeah, they do.
This movie came out in 1976. It was directed by Herbert Ross. Herbert Ross, you're like, who's that guy? He directed Footloose, the first one. He also directed Steel Magnolias. Those are the two that jumped out at me.
We did that.
And Nicholas Meyer, who we talked about earlier in the week, basically writer-director of Time After Time, writer-director of Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, writer-director of Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. 7% Solution stars a lot of American actors doing foreign accents, which is fun. We have Alan Arkin as Dr. Sigmund Freud, doing his best German accent. Vanessa Redgrave as Lola Davarou. Robert Duvall as John H. Watson. Nicole Williamson as Sherlock Holmes. And Sir Laurence Olivier as Professor James Moriarty. It's a movie that I haven't seen, but I picked it this week because it was written by Nicholas Meyer. But it's your week, so I'm going to have you start off. Did you know anything about the 7% solution, and what did you think about it?
I knew that it was Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
I did not know that it was written by Nicholas Meyer. Of course, I'm not sure I knew who Nicholas Meyer was before this week. So I guess that is right. But yeah, I think I just knew that it was Sherlock Holmes. I don't think I really knew who was in it. Maybe I knew Robert Duvall was in it.
Yeah.
But I probably thought he was Sherlock Holmes and not Watson. So I knew very little about the 7% solution. So Time After Time and the 7% solution, and I kind of talked about this when we did Color Purple and Beloved. I felt like I was going to like Color Purple more than I did, and I felt like I wasn't going to like Beloved as much as I did, and I kind of felt the same way this week. Time After Time, I just assumed I was going to like it more. Yeah. 7% Solution, I assumed I wasn't going to like it as much. And again, I mean, no real particular reason. Just that's kind of the gut feeling that I had.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to report that I was wrong. I really liked the 7% Solution.
Oh.
I enjoyed it. I liked... Because you've got a fictional character in Sherlock Holmes, well, a lot of fictional characters, Sherlock Holmes, Moriarty, Watson, Mycroft Holmes, Sherlock Holmes' brother. You've got all those guys who only exist in the imagination of, what's his name?
Arthur Doyle.
Yeah, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And then you've got a real-life character in Sigmund Freud, so you kind of juxtapose those two things. But it worked for me. I found this movie to be just a lot of fun because I feel like, it starts off as the movie is... Because when the movie starts off, cocaine... Sherlock Holmes... Yeah, just cocaine. When it starts off, cocaine. No, Sherlock Holmes is basically kind of... he's got a cocaine addiction.
Yeah.
And Watson's like, okay, we need to cure him of this, so I'm going to enlist the help of Sigmund Freud. And so in my mind, I was thinking... How are they going to sustain an entire movie out of this? This is weird. So they go off to, he does some trickery. He and Mycroft do some trickery, Sherlock Holmes' brother, and they get him to go meet with Sigmund Freud in Austria, right? Yeah, in Vienna. So they get him, they put him on a train because he thinks he's solving some kind of crime or whatever. They get him there, and only for him to find out, oh my gosh, basically it's an intervention, right? It's an intervention.
Banners everywhere.
And we're going to cure you of your cocaine addiction. And I thought, where the hell is this movie going to go from there? But it leads them into a mystery at that point. And the rest of the movie, as you kind of I think mentioned on Monday or maybe last week, you've got trains chasing each other, you've got sword fights, you've got all kinds of stuff. But I thought the movie was
tennis matches.
Yeah, I thought the movie was a heck of a lot of fun. I mean, are the accents there? No, but I think in a movie like this, I didn't really care that much, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they just had fun with it. I think it shows on screen, and I had fun watching it. I thought this movie was pretty much a blast.
Oh,
I really dug
that's
it.
great.
What about you?
Yeah, this wasn't my cup of
No?
tea.
Okay.
It was a little.
Was
I
it was it
couldn't.
better than Time After Time or no?
I think I like Time Out of Time a little bit more than this one.
Really? Wow.
So for this
I'm
movie,
so the opposite.
so for this movie, I was trying to figure out if it's played serious or if it's played for laughs, because I feel like the title sequence with the drawn things, but then like some of the characters have asterisks next to their name, and like like not subtitles, but like footnotes like for that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is like it, and those were making me think of like Monty Python and this and the Holy Grail kind of stuff, where it's like this is like funny and stuff like that. And then when you get in the movie, it's not really funny; it's more serious. So I couldn't get a thing of the tone of the movie, and I wish the mystery was a little bit more interesting. Again, I think with Time After Time, I think this movie is interesting. I like the idea of it. Like I like the fact that hey, while you're trying to rehabilitate your main character or whatever, or try to wean him off of drugs, he uncovers a new mystery and stuff like that. And I wish they could have played it. I wish it would have. So when he's coming off of the cocaine or whatever, he's having hallucinations about prior mysteries and stuff like that he solves, different cases he solved. And I thought it would be really interesting if like maybe some of those things he's hallucinating also are pertinent to the case that they are uncovering, right? So it's like, well, is he just hallucinating stuff? And it'd be really interesting if maybe it was like a return of a villain from a prior case. So like it's like, no, you're hallucinating these things you solved 5 years ago, but it's really like, no, he's seeing things that are pertinent to the current case. Like I think that would have been more interesting to me, like kind of a movie if it did that. And again, I think this one also, it might be just the time, it kind of reads to me as a very like TV movie ish to me, right? It just kind of came off as like, not a lot of just like it was very like plain looking, and like the violence was kind of held back a little bit. I don't know. So it didn't really work for me. But I'm glad it worked for you.
It did. I like the guy who plays Sherlock Holmes, Nicole. I don't know how you say it.
Williamson, yeah.
It's Nicole without an E. Nicole Williamson. I think he's great as Sherlock Holmes. Robert Duvall. I wrote down Robert Duvall is like with an accent. I'm not used to hearing Robert Duvall talk with any kind of accent other than his own. I'm not sure he pulls it off, but it's interesting.
I didn't think he was gonna have a very big speaking role.
It's interesting,
and I was surprised.
And oh no, yeah, he's got a lot of lines. And then Alan Arkin, I think Alan Arkin looks the part of Sigmund Freud with his beard and everything. But I thought everybody was good in the movie. Accents notwithstanding, I thought everybody, even Vanessa Redgrave, although she's not in the movie a whole lot as Lola Devereaux, and Sir Laurence Olivier is not in the movie a whole lot as Moriarty. I thought Moriarty was going to play a bigger role than he does. But I actually kind of liked that it subverted my expectation that he, in fact, at least according to this movie, is just a harmless like math. Not not so harmless.
We find out at the end.
with Sherlock Holmes' mother, and is basically the reason that she's dead.
Boy, that goes there.
Yeah. I put shit got dark with Holmes' mom, because it certainly gets dark towards the end of the film.
Yeah.
But I found it kind of interesting. I think Laurence Olivier's portrayal as just this kind of meek math tutor is interesting, because around the mid 70s, he was doing very menacing roles like the sadistic dentist in Marathon Man. He's in Boys from Brazil as like a Nazi type guy. So he's doing these really mean characters. I thought he was going to do that in this movie, but he does not. So it was kind of refreshing to see that. But yeah, I was all on board for this movie. I really was.
All aboard.
Yeah, I was all aboard. They get on the train. I like that where they don't have enough like steam or whatever. Like they've got to burn more wood to get the train going to catch up to the next train. So they have to jump to the next car and take axes and just basically chop the thing down, chop all the wood off. I thought that was really cool. It
made me think of the General.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, absolutely. And as far as Sherlock Holmes, whenever he's having his withdrawals, he's having visions and hallucinations, I'm pretty sure Danny Boyle saw that before he did Train Spotting. Because to me, it had a lot of, or Train Spotting has kind of a lot of 7% Solution kind of vibes. But yeah, as far as like withdrawal from heroin, at least in that movie. But no, I like this movie. I read that Nicholas Myers has written 4 other
That's crazy.
Sherlock Holmes novels.
Yeah.
I think they should remake this, and I think they should do a whole series of these using his other novels that they've done. I
I'd be on board
mean,
with
they've
that.
got Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law doing their Sherlock Holmes thing. You got Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman,
And then
Johnny
you
Lee
have
Miller and Lucy
Johnny Lee Miller.
Liu. Why not have it? Throw another Sherlock Holmes into the mix and do a series of these 5 novels.
I'd be
I
for
think.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
let's
think
do
it'd
like
be
an
cool.
older Sherlock Holmes
I
too.
think it'd be cool. Yeah.
Like maybe get like an aging actor.
Yeah.
To do it.
I think it would be a lot of fun because I don't know how many people really care about seeing this 1977% solution. I mean, I think that's a shame.
1977% solution.
Yeah, 7% solution from 1976. I think it's good, but I don't know how many people are interested in seeing it. But I feel like if they rebooted or remade this film, and
Yeah.
with the promise of other sequels because they've already been written in book form, I think they should do it. Do it.
Yeah, they should get
Let's
the
do it.
rights.
Let's get on it.
The worst part of the movie for me was when they were in the like Coliseum or whatever the
With the
medieval
horses?
with the horse, and they're like the most intelligent horses in the world, and they've been trained to kill. It's
Yeah.
like,
It's silly, but I liked it. I went with it.
Yeah.
I went with it. Yeah, and the guy that they're chasing at that part is Joel Grey, who is, of course, Jennifer Grey's dad and has been acting forever and ever and ever. And I thought it was funny because he's in the movie and he was coming off, well, a few years prior to this, he had won, I think, an Academy Award for Cabaret. He barely has any lines in the movie. He just says like yes and no. Like they're like, okay, you tell us what you're gonna do. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but it's kind of interesting to see him in this movie.
yeah, and there's also a little bit of like Murder on the Orient Express a little bit with this movie too, because of like the main mystery and all that kind of stuff. So I'm with you. I think maybe that's our vibe for like this last 2 weeks is remakes would be really interesting for these movies this week. Just kind of done maybe a little bit with more modern sensibilities, maybe taken a little bit more serious with a little bit more seriousness, a little more drama. I think would be really interesting. I would be on board with another 7% solution.
Well, hopefully you like this remake better.
Yeah, well,
than this one.
put me in charge, and I guarantee I'll like it. All right, where are the critics on this guy?
I wanted to mention,
Yeah,
I
guys.
read the 7% Solution is the name of a band from Austin, Texas,
Oh.
although they are no more, according to the Wikipedia page. They were together a short period of time, no more. Although they left their music for future generations.
There you go.
I've never heard any of their music, but there's a band. This was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, so good job, Nicholas Meyer, although he did not win. He lost to All the President's Men.
Oh.
And it was nominated for Best Costume Design, but Fellini's Casanova won. It is 73% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 68% audience score. 2 thumbs up once again, and just like Time After Time, Gene Siskel picked this as the 9th best film of the year. He picked Time After Time as the 9th best film of the year. He picked 7% Solution as the 9th
He
best
might
film
like
of the year.
Nicholas Meyer. We got to see where he falls on Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, maybe so. And Roger Ebert didn't make his top 10 list, but he did give it thumbs up. Any ideas? So I asked you on Monday what the number one film Siskel picked. What was the number one film of 1976 according to Gene Siskel? And I'll give you a hint. I mentioned it just a minute ago when I was talking about the Oscars.
Is it Cassavetes Fellini? Casanova?
Cassavetes? No.
Fellini Casanova?
It's All the President's Men was the best film of the year according to Gene Siskel. And Leonard Maltin gives us 3 out of 4 stars, before I forget.
All right.
Okie doke.
Okay, well, that was our thoughts on the 7% Solution. On these Wednesday episodes, we always like to answer viewers' questions. And we picked one this week because Robert Duvall is in this movie. I actually would say he's almost a starring role in this movie. He seems to be the main protagonist. He seems to push things along. And we decided to talk about our favorite Robert Duvall movies. I think some of his big hits were probably The Apostle, I think is a big one for him. We would probably be remiss if we didn't mention the first 2 Godfather movies.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the other big,
like
Bobby Duvall?
I mean, he got his start acting in a lot of television television series. Excuse me. He plays Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird way back in 1962. The 70s is like a big period for him because he did like MASH, he did Network, he did the Godfather films, as you mentioned, he did Apocalypse Now. I mean, just
Oh, yeah.
he's in the conversation, although he has a very very small part in that film, but he's in like a huge amount of heavy hitters from the 1970s.
Yeah.
He does Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise.
He did Gone in 60 Seconds, which we
In
talked
60
about
seconds.
Bullet last week. That's our tenuous thing between it. You know, he was in what am I trying to say? You know, he's been in some more comedic kind of roles later on in his life, as most actors do. Um, so yeah, I guess I'll go first. Um, so for me, I couldn't really narrow down a role where I think where I really like him in. Like nothing really speaks to me. But I would say he's really good in The Godfather. But so I kind of went with what's my favorite movie that he's in, and a movie I feel like people don't talk about a whole lot is Jason Reitman's Thank You for Smoking. That came out in like 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's a really really good movie. It has Aaron Eckhart in it and all that kind of stuff. Written and directed by Jason Reitman. So I would say that probably my favorite movie that has. I think he has a really really small role in it, but my favorite movie that has Robert Duvall is Thank You for Smoking.
I mentioned The Conversation. I wouldn't pick that as my favorite Robert Duvall movie just because he has such a small part in it. But if I'm and I haven't seen Lonesome Dove. I know
I haven't either.
that's a bad
It's a
bad thing
is it
for
TV
me.
series or is it TV?
Yeah, it was a TV miniseries. Yeah. So, but I mean, I know it's one that I need to get on to watching because I know it's kind of a classic TV miniseries or TV movie, whatever you want to. I think they edited it into a movie, something like that. But if I'm gonna go with, or I am gonna go with something from the 90s. You mentioned The Apostle, which I think The Apostle is good. I don't
I've
know
never
that
seen
it
it.
gets a lot of love. I don't think it has any kind of Blu-ray release or anything like that, so it may be kind of hard to find. Another movie that doesn't have a Blu-ray release that I'm aware of is A Civil Action, which he's in with John Travolta. He did two movies with John Travolta really close together, Civil Action and Phenomenon. Remember
Yeah,
that one?
I actually remember liking Phenomenon. I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember liking it.
I was gonna say I don't remember a
He
lot
was
about
like,
Phenomenon,
did he
but
play like Doc in Phenomenon or something like that?
he plays Doc. Yes,
Yeah.
he does. You got a better memory than me. I don't remember a lot about Phenomenon. I do like A Civil Action a lot, but the movie that I'm going to pick is with Michael Douglas. Robert Duvall plays Prendergast, but it's Falling Down from 1993, where
Falling Down.
Michael Douglas has had enough and he's not going to take it anymore.
He's basically the mood of 2020, 2021, and 2022.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he goes on a tear, but I mean, admittedly, probably not a great movie, but I've always kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I think Robert Duvall's good in. I mean, Robert Duvall's good in just about everything, but he's good in that. So I'm gonna pick that one.
Yeah, we always talk about the fast food scene where he gets upset because the hamburger doesn't look like the one in the picture. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right, guys. Well, that was our favorite Robert Duvall movies. Let us know what your favorite Robert Duvall movie is. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube, or shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com. That's where we answer viewer questions like this one. So send us your viewers' questions, realshame@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, share, do all that social media stuff for this episode and this show. We really would appreciate it. And stay tuned next week as we watch some more movies from my list of shame. And we'll see you soon, guys. Bye.